Hello pre-calc students. I'm going to go over with you some of the patterns on the unit circle that you may have missed if you were not in class. So this is what the unit circle looks like with all the radians on there, but we're going to go over how you can find what those are even if you are not sure. Okay, so we're going to go over that. Okay, so we're going to start with a blank unit circle. All you need to know is that this is going to be 0 and this side is going to be pi, because remember pi is 180 degrees and this will be half the circle, right? This will be 0 degrees, this will be pi. Okay, well if you can follow that logic that this is 0 and this is going to be pi, then we know that this is halfway in between, which is 1/2 of pi, which we can write as pi over 2. Now we can also think of this line here as half of the half. Half of the half would be 1/4, or if you look at this here, it's a 45-degree angle, and there'll be 4 45-degree angles in the top half of the circle, which makes it pi over 4. Okay, with this here, this is our 30-degree. So you can either think, okay, how many 30-degree angles are there going to be in the top half? Or you could count every 30 degrees. So this would be 30, this would be 60, and 90. We're going to add 30 here, so 120, 30 here, which would be 150, and this would be 180. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's why this is going to be pi over 6. You could also just do 30 divided by 180 and then it'll cancel out and you'll get 1/6, so it'll be pi over 6. Same thing with 60. There's 1, 2, 3 60-degree angles in here, which is why it's pi over 3. Now, if you can remember that this is pi over 2 here, then it's going to go pi over 2, pi over 3, pi over 4, and then pi over 6. Now remember, it jumps to pi over 6 because this is a proportion of the circle. 30 over 180 is going to be 3 over 18 or 1 over 6, which is why we have pi over 6. Now for the rest of the circle, all we have to do is count. So if you can count, you can do your unit circle. All right, so if we start at 0, we're going to do the pi over 4s first. So this would be 1 pi over 4, which we went 45 degrees to get there. So I'm going to go 45 more degrees, which will get me to 90, and this will be 2 pi over 4. Well, 2 over 4 is 1 over 2, so we're at pi over 2. So then I'm going to go 45 more degrees, and that will get me 3 pi over 4. Okay, so if you did 90 plus 45, you get 135. That's going to be our degree. Okay, now if I go 45 more degrees, I'm here, 4 pi over 4. If the 4's cancel out, you get pi. I go 45 more degrees, I'm at 5 pi over 4. Okay, and then if you add 45 degrees to 180, you'll get 225. Okay, and then so I'm at 5 pi over 4. Here I'd be 6 pi over 4. 6 over 4 is going to reduce because 2 goes into both. So it'll be 3 pi over 2. I want another 45 degrees, so this will be 270. And then here was 6 pi over 4, so here's going to be 7 pi over 4. And then we're back to the start at 8 pi over 4, which reduces to 2 pi. So that's why 1 full time around the circle is going to be 2 pi. Okay, and then here we added 45 degrees, so this would be 315. And then when we add another 45, we would be here at 360 when we start at 0. Okay, so now we can use 30 degrees to find all of the rest of the missing ones. So this would be 1 pi over 6. Go another 35 degrees to get 2 pi over 6. 2 6 is 1/3. Here we're at 3 pi over 6. 3 6 is 1/2. Here we're at 4 pi over 6. 4 over 6 is going to reduce to 2/3. So this is 2 pi over 3. So that was 4 pi over 6. This is going to be 5 pi over 6. Okay, then 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, and 8 and 6 can reduce to 4/3. Okay, and then we're at 9 pi over 6, which reduces, 10 pi over 6, which also reduces, and 11 pi over 6, and then here we'd be at 12 pi over 6, which again is 2 pi. Okay, now there's lots of different patterns you can notice here. First of all, if this is pi over 6, if I reflect this point, I'm at pi over 6. If I reflect that, I'm at pi over 6. If I reflect that, again, I'm at pi over 6. You can also follow the lines. So like if you go straight across, you'll see that they both have a 6 in the denominator, or they both have a 4, or they both have a 3, and you'll see that happens with all of your radians. All right, I'm going to make another video for the points if you're having trouble with those. Thank you. Bye.